Hello everybody, my name is Anthem and welcome to the stream. So today we're going to be playing a little bit of the New Order, which came out officially yesterday. I think by the time this goes up on YouTube, like 3 days ago. But I have a kind of like a history with the mod here, because this is the mod that I played really at kind of like the start of my channel growth. Back in I think like May of last year, I think is when the first version of the mod came out. And my channel's really started to grow since then, so I'm glad to be able to play the full release here today. So, we're going to be playing as the United States, really, to begin our campaign off with. There is a lot of text when it comes to this. So we're really just going to read the opening kind of blurb here up until we get to the Republican Democratic Party, because everything else kind of, we can ignore that for now. So, the United States of America. Oh, Q Fabulous Axeman? I'm not too sure you can say that. Years ago, before the talk of the Nazi jackboot and the Japanese tyranny on the Isles, the stars and strife flew high and mightily, the likeness of different worldwide sickness. That of the excessiveness of the Roaring Twenties, the explosion of the Wall Street crash, and the dread of the Great Depression that journeyed forth, wreaking havoc upon the crippled America. It was here that the ideas of Rooseveltian New Deal burned, as comparisons to the failures of the Soviets' Nikolai Bukharin's own doing left the ideas unpopular and unsupported. It was here that Al Smith came to the top of the Democrats, allowing for the then incumbent President Herbert Hoover to maintain his stay in the White House. Need to scroll down a little bit here. With 1936, however, things are changing for the United States. Joseph P. Kennedy promised administration of balance and isolation, seeking to tiptoe away from the breaking out of war in Europe by the Nazis. Despite the constant pleas from allied states, peace and abstainment reigned in North America, allowing the country to maneuver a recovery from the Great Depression and bolster the American economy. However, the common stability hath reigned not, for on December 7th, 1941, a day that will live in infamy, the United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air force of the Empire of Japan, crippling the United States fleet that rested in Pearl Harbor. Really wish I could scroll with the scroll wheel here. That would make things so much simpler. President Harry S. Truman promised the American people that they would see the beacon of liberty pushed through the cause of democracy, a promise that has sunk to the depths of the Pacific on July 4th, 1945, in a flash of light consumed by the island of Hawaii upon the dropping of the atomic bomb from the previously attacked Pearl Harbor. They really double-dipped on attacking. They attacked it once with planes, and they attacked it again with a nuke. I feel like that's just overkill. To make matters worse, late August saw the signing of the Akai Accords, officially ending the war, the first great American defeat in history. As it was signed away, the state of Hawaii and the naval base in Los Angeles and physical to Japanese control. Thank you, Cromont, for the follow. Japanese control, alongside endless amounts of reparation to pay and the lifting of embargoes on the Axis-aligned states. The chaotic 1948 election saw Thomas Dewey sign Trump the embarrassment of Democrats over the reeling nation, having to deal with the planting of seeds towards the new political paths of the United States. In the first post-war election, an angry and bitter American populace almost unanimously turned their backs upon the ruling Democratic Party. Facing waves of defections, the Republicans and the loss of nearly all of their Senate seats, the party desperately sought a way to survive. Ultimately, a radical solution was proposed by several former Democrats turned Republicans, such as Senator Lyndon B. Johnson, a union with the now triumphant Republican Party. After much of political wrangling, the two parties were united to form a Republican Democratic Party, briefly turning America into a one-party state. Thus, I'm just gonna keep scrolling. I want to make sure I don't have to scroll in the middle of the paragraph. Thus, the legendary General Dwight D. Eisenhower, famed for his bold defense along the English line against the Nazis, won the election, the first president under Republican Democrats. Eisenhower worked hard to create the Organization of Free Nations, an economic and offensive alliance of democratic forces left within the world. However, with the final declaration of Eisenhower's intent to oversee Hawaii's reintroduction to the Union against the Akai Accords, the United States has firmly entrenched its position in the dangerous world of today. Whilst new rising political stars come to sit in the most powerful seats in the country, now we look forward to the 1960s. Presidents Richard Milhouse Nixon and Vice President John Fitzgerald Kennedy, son of former President Joseph P. Kennedy, find themselves at the helm of the White House. Please. However, the Republican Democrats no longer remain unchallenged in the political arena. As the American Depression wore on, the matters of civil rights began to enter the public consciousness. Some Americans began to turn to alternative voices to represent their grievances. The National Progressive Party, formed by Henry A. Wallace and Glenn Tyler in 1947, became a beacon of progressivism, while George S. Patton's Patriotic Party was established in 1951 to represent the hardline conservative interest. Both were able to carry states in the election in 1952 and 56, but neither could unseat the Republican Democrats. In the interest of representing the united anti-establishment voice, the two parties became a controversial decision to unite under one banner, the National Progressive Party. Though whether this Frankenstein political movement can have an impact remains to be seen. Where we are now. In the year 1962, Richard Nixon is President of the United States of America. Fortunately, his work is cut out for him. Americans from coast to coast desire social reform at all levels. A new crisis is brewing in enemy-controlled Hawaii as an aggressive Japanese place nuclear missiles on the island chain. Racism runs rampant across the South as African Americans plead for Civil Rights Act to be signed, while many white Southerners fiercely oppose the act. The Cold War between us, Germany, and Empire Japan is starting to heat up once again, and it is up to President Nixon's job to bring his country to the rightful place on the world stage. Fantastic. Hello, professionals. So, destiny lies ahead. Freedom. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So, 1962. It's a little bit hard to see. What? Okay, so we have. Let's go for you. We have what? 4 tech slots. See what we actually need here. Air accidents chance. Naval targeting. You're 1970, probably a little bit too advanced for us, I think, right now. Industry tech. We will go. Cap goes down. Growth goes up. Bases increase. Free repair. We're going to actually go for horizontal here. You are construction speed. I think that seems completely okay. I mean, you're mutually exclusive. I actually cannot get both. And you are 3 years ahead of time, which I think is probably a little bit too much for us at the moment. Land auction, we've already gotten one decided. So you know what? Go with you as well. And then also follow that up with more defense. That seems okay. Thank you, Precious Server, for the follow. He's not a crook. Free selling factories. So what do we got right now? We have 170 factories, 22, 23, and 131. So we clearly, I think, need more military factories. At least 4 now. Build a handful of them up here in the north. Just have even more free civilian factories. Do we have any nukes? Because I feel like we probably want at least a handful of nuclear weapons. As far as I can tell, the answer might be no. You know what? Let's build some nuclear reactors. And Oklahoma. That seems like a good place to have them go. We should be fine. We are missing 1 weapon. I probably should have turned off the buttons up here. Just ignore that for now. Is there anything we actually need, though, for our army? Not to start off with. Bazookas, we have 3,000. 1.7k infantry equipment isn't really that much. We'll throw like 1 more in there for now. Build some convoys. Build some cruisers. Some submarines. Submarines are always good, I think. Yeah, build some of you guys up. Follow that up with some aircraft carriers. Create a variant of you. No, I cannot. I have no power. That makes perfect sense. Go for some cruiser 3s as well, I guess. And that seems like a good place for us to start. Can't really steal secrets from the Democrats. Who do you go for President of the United States? I have no idea. I really don't know anything about the lore of the United States. So we'll just kind of play it by ear. We'll see what actually happens. Oh, you're already all completed as well. That's, I guess, useful. Get a full-scale ration. Is there actually anything we can do? Because these have already been chosen for us. You know what? We can attack Japan or crack the Steel Curtain. You dismantle the British. I mean, we want to dismantle both, obviously. I mean, I know Germany's going to have a civil war, so you know what? Let's focus on maybe dealing with them first. You guys are 12 mechanized. You know, like, kind of pretty similar. Let's just train up, let's say, 2 of you, 2 of you, 4 of you guys. And we'll also build some National Guard as well. You know, might as well while we're here. Then we're also getting some resources. We get some chromium from Cuba. Yeah, let's get that going. And our manpower, how much? We have 68,000 manpower. That's fine. Don't worry about that too much. We'll also only build 1 of these guys for now. How many troops do we actually have? We have only 33 divisions, which really is not a ton. Both you underneath 1 field marshal. We got some guys in Iceland. Where else do we have? We got some troops over here. Alaska. Florida. Why do we got troops in that? What are all you guys doing here? I mean, I know Australia is like kind of important, but like at the same time, not really that important. Got some decisions available, of course. We won't use this because I usually can actually break this. We could start a nuclear war. I think that's probably could be a good idea in the future. Is Cuba communist? It is. Yes, it's led by Fidel Castro at the moment. What can we do? We have no political power, so we really can't get too much done. There are currently 85 senators, 45 Republicans, 40 of them are Democrats. 5 are part of the center, 8 of the far right. The Yaquis? I feel like I've heard the Yaquis before, because I've read like a little bit, but not really enough to solid understanding. Increased party unity for 100 political power. How much do we actually gain right now? 0.65 really is not a lot. Yeah, and manpower we can fix in the future. I'm really not too worried about that. I've already got a rubber processing done. What's rubber processing? I don't remember. We choose that as a tech? Maybe. The end of the missile crisis. For the past several weeks, the United States has been embroiled in a crisis with Japan, our former jewel in the Pacific. Hawaii has been turned into a staging point for Japanese medium-range ballistic missiles, which were discovered by the CIA U-2C spy plane not long ago. In a tense standoff between the USN First Fleet and the Imperial Japanese Navy, Vice President Kennedy approached the Empire with an offer. The United States would remove its own MRBMs from Australia in return for the Japanese doing the same in Hawaii. After several rounds of tense negotiations, this offer was accepted despite the urging of Joint Chiefs, who argued that was a perfect time to claim America's lost territory. The doves prevailed, and today both sides are moving our missiles. This is a major diplomatic coup for Kennedy, who is being hailed across the nation as a hero for his action in the crisis. President Nixon, on the other hand, mostly stayed out of the negotiations and is widely being criticized as such. Why is one of the capitals? Is it not the cap? Like, where is it? Port-au-Prince? Why is one of the island's capital still named Port of Spain? This is the West Indies Federation. I'm guessing probably the United States. Are they a puppet of ours? They're a client state of ours. German moon landing. Today, Germany today proudly announced to the world that Germany is the first ever to step on the moon. Herbert Kollner, using a rocket based on the A9 A10 design from World War II, and as a member of the team led by the acclaimed scientist Werner von Braun, successfully landed along with a team nominally made up of former Luftwaffe pilots. Kollner, on live television, broadcast globally, snapped a smart salute to the flag of the Reich, with the Earth visible in the backdrop, a photo of which is across the globe, thanks to no spot by German propaganda. Jubilant celebrations began almost immediately across Germany. Already, President Nixon has publicly vowed that the race shall continue, and that NASA is already making preparations for a permanent human presence on the moon. Good luck with that. In the form of a lunar colony. The president's announcement was quickly followed by one from Japan, who stated that it will land on Mars. Despite the president's insistence that the race is not over, the American public has taken the news poorly. Although America managed to get an astronaut into space, public confidence of the space program is at an all-time low, as fewer Americans than ever look to the night skies with a sense of explorative awe. Everybody's just dick measuring around here. Us, Germany, Japan. Like, can I see what your focuses are? Fiscal report. You guys got some stuff. I know, like, most countries should... Most major countries, I think, like, have a decent amount of actual stuff in them, which is nice. We can actually maybe see some more stuff happen along the world. Martin Luther King Jr. speech. I say to you, my friends, in spite of difficulties and frustration at the moment, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We will hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, that sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a desert state, sweltering in the heat of injustice and oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of skin, but the content of their character. I have a dream today. On the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, prominent civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. gave a speech to a grand crowd of over 250,000 people. His words have already spread across the country like wildfire as men and women, black and white alike, spread the slogan, I have a dream. I do have to increase my fan because it's boiling hot in my room right now. Just 1 second. Why does Japan think he can get his way to the moon? Well, are you really doubting the power of, is Hirohito still alive, or is he dead? I'm actually not too sure in the lore. Actually, when did he die in real life? I really don't know. But I believe in him. I'm sure. They'll send, like, a boat up there. Are you in our faction? You're not. So actually, I don't even know where I really even put my units, to be quite honest. Put some on the border with the Mexico. I'll put some kind of just, like, in Washington. Like, I'm not too sure where I actually want these troops to even be. It's fine for now. I'll worry about that in the future. Hirohito's alive and well. Then there you go. See, he'll go up there personally. Assassins strike at Hitler. News from Germany today is sporadic at best. CIA assets in Germania have reported that shortly after celebrations over the moon landing began to settle, German military units and several platoons worth of German dictators' various bodyguards units filled the streets and immediately put the city under martial law. For while we were hearing an assassin, which the Germans claimed to be belonged to the Japanese Kempeitai, attempted to kill the Führer. But what stopped in his attempts is one of Hitler's personal bodyguards and killed on the spot. Already reports of several assassinations have surfaced, with various politicians in the Reichstag initially believing Hitler to have to be killed, and began long planning plots to eliminate their rivals in the chaos. In the streets, various military units nearly came to blows as various units ordered one another to stand down and change of command broke down. Well, the situation has begun to recover. Martial law is still in effect. In Germania and suddenly the Reich seems much weaker. In Washington, it raises the question: how can the Germans maintain this new world order? They said it. They said the name. When they could hardly handle themselves. As one eagle falls, another arises. Not a spoiler for Burgundy. I know they're a bit, you know, them. I'm not too sure what the spoilers are necessarily, unless maybe it's like they nuke the entire world and the game ends. We'll see. Stellar Dreams. He soared in his rocket ship above the Earth as he gazed through the capsule window of the continent stretched out beneath him. He just realized how small mankind truly was. It occurred to him that if every human being had the opportunity to see what he could see, how insignificant all the struggles and wars and vendettas were, the world might finally know peace. A peace where everybody could work towards the advancements of science, prosperity, and... Sudden ring cut through his psyche. As he was jolted from the dreams of days past, sitting sluggishly awake in a sadly earthbound bed, he fumbled up for the telephone on his bedside cabinet. Pulled his receiver from the ear. John Glenn speaking. Way too early in the morning, might I add. A panicked voice came across the line. John, it's James. Have you heard the news? Glenn rubbed the sleep out of his eyes and replied, James Edward Webb, I have not gotten out of bed yet. Be more specific. They're defunding NASA! Oh, God. How could they? How could they? How dare you? Hastily made coffee and frantic flip through the morning paper later. John Glenn felt a wrench in his gut as he faced the prospect of his life work being all for naught. So what? The Germans may get it to the moon? And that just means space is over? What can we do? They can't just give up on the future. He just said we're going to land a moon colony. Mr. Nixon, have you been lying to me? There you. Where the hell was I? Nixon already made his mind up. He wants to move the money over to the military and other practical projects. Webb paused as Glenn made an outrage and take a breath. I really don't think there's anything I can do to stop him at this point. I'm sorry, John. Glenn felt himself get back in the riviera of space flight. The government could not let his dream of space be but a dream. America had to live to see the stars. Nothing we can do. We'll see about that. You got 50 of them on the goddamn flag. You could at least go to space once or twice. One for every single star. I guess there's actually 49 now because Hawaii is kind of missing. Whatever. Apparently I can recruit an operative. This guy actually has a face, so I guess we're gonna go for him. Also, I did assign generals there. Class 3 Senate election session. The United States is once again gearing up for the election season. As per the Constitution, all the seats of the House of Representatives and a third of the Senate seats will be up for grabs in November, along with the innumerable state and local races across the nation. And of course, the American politics will change with it. Status quo or radical upheaval, it's time for people to decide. The Republican, Democrats, and the National Progressive Party, along with numerous third parties, are gearing up for political machines across the 50 states. No, so there are still 50. Did they make Puerto Rico into a state? No. Hawaii is what's your 50th? I don't... what's the 50th state? Okay, so across all 50 states, a special focus is going to the Senate seats up for grabs. Tens of thousands of volunteers, campaign staff, and candidates are gearing up to begin the primaries, rallies, whistle-stop tours, public speeches, glad handling, and debates that will dominate the nation's attention for the next few months. Issues of great importance will be debated, candidates will be scrutinized, and eventually millions of voters around the nation will get a chance to make their voice heard. And the greatest democracy in the world will once again prove itself. So I'm guessing we kind of can go for either the Republican Democrats or go for the National Progressive Party. We're going to go for the NPP just because that's, I think, slightly more interesting. There's more options there. And we'll see kind of how that goes. I mean, I know our manpower's low. Don't worry about that. What do you want me to do? What's timing out? Opposition campaign. There's too much. There's too many things here. So the Deep South is kind of like a toss-up. Republican and Democrats are kind of winning everywhere. MPC Center. So we were kind of leading. We have a small lead in like 2 states. With a strong lead. So we don't want to go for the Rockies. I mean, they have a strong lead basically everywhere. So I guess for now, let's... Vermont, East Coast... Strong lead, Pennsylvania. I mean, Pennsylvania is like an important state. I'm pretty sure. Great success. A blunder. Yeah, let's try here. We'll campaign there. I think that seems okay. Unless this is campaigning for... No, this is campaigning for the NPP. Okay, so. One flew over the cuckoo's nest. The sun-drenched hills, revenge-laden neighborhoods, and underground economies in the Bay Area comes the debut novel from one Ken Kenzie. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's bizarre, profane, provocative, and gauntlet thrown onto the table of American literature. Inspired by Kenzie's work as a psychiatric orderly in Menlo Park, California, the novel follows one Randall McMurphy. McMurphy, a veteran of Scotland and a proud street baller, is sentenced to time in a psychiatric hospital for battery and illicit gambling. I don't know if that makes any sense, but okay. There, he meets with a number of characters, including the novel's narrator, Chief Bromden, the tyrannical head nurse, Nurse Ratchet. Over the course of the novel, McMurphy challenges Ratchet's rules, standing up for himself and others patients in the ward. He's rewarded for this with a lobotomy, courtesy of Ratchet. Fantastic. The novel ends with Brodom smothering McMurphy in the act of mercy for escaping to freedom. Is that how the book actually goes? Cuckoo's Nest already garnered a fair share of accolades and controversy alike. Many are calling it a portrayal of America's own authoritarian systems in an age where the nation is supposedly the bastion of liberty in the world. Hollywood star Kirk Douglas is rumored to be seeking the adaptation rights, while schools across America are rumored to be banning it. I'm so crazy I plan on voting for Eisenhower again this November. Protest in Birmingham. By the way, is there term limits in this universe? Because, like, FDR wasn't in charge, right? He didn't get elected 4 times. So I don't know if there's still term limits or not. Protest in Birmingham. The civil rights movement is reaching its crescendo. All across America, there are protest rallies and riots hosted by civil rights activists, and they get the worst by the month. Just this week, a massive march was held in Birmingham, Alabama, in the heart of the segregationist South, with tens of thousands of activists, white and black alike, calling for equal rights. Although it started civil, local police chief Eugene Bull Connor quickly deployed riot troops and set dogs loose on the protesters. The peaceful march quickly turned into a running battle in the streets between police and activists. This event has been widely televised across the nation. The average American shocked by police brutality on display in Birmingham. Many of the more liberal news sources across the United States have likened the events of Alabama to those of Germany decades ago, citing the police brutality and suppression of activists to draw parallels to the Nazi regime.